Greetings, Lotus seedlings and sprouts. I am Fire Lotus. I've been doing these for about 2 or 3 years now. I did want to go ahead and say that if you hear a dog barking or a cat meowing, the cat's mine. He's my familiar. He's currently behind me on the table. And if you hear a dog barking, that's my neighbor's dog. There's really nothing I can do about that. Now, I am going to wait until I get some views or some viewers to check in because we need to talk. Oh boy, do we need to talk. And of course, just nothing y'all did. Good morning. But I learned something yesterday in the episode that I did with Bloody Mary that literally I've had trouble sleeping and doing anything since then. Because, so for anyone who's been in the witchy community, pagan community, whatever you want to call it, before, I don't know, the last 5 years, 10 years, you would know that a very good author, well, hopefully you would, a very good author, Christopher Penczak, he's the one that I've talked about the Inner Temple series. If you've ever read those books, you would know that it's one of the first authors that I ever came across that literally taught you the basics of witchcraft and energy work without it being pagan-based, Wicca-based, which there's nothing wrong with being a pagan or a Wicca. It's not the point of this conversation. I learned yesterday that he had, good morning, he had an entire class start trying to argue with him because apparently what he was teaching was cultural appropriating. Now, if you actually look up the word to culture appropriating, well, I don't know the full definition, but what I know of it is taking something from a culture and stereotyping it, like during Halloween where, the Indian costumes and all the other costumes, where it's stereotyping that type of culture. Now, this right here has been a huge argument due to TikTok, because I haven't really seen it that much on Facebook, except for after TikTok, about, I started your interview with Bloody Mary, hopefully I'll get a chance to finish it today. Oh, sweet. Now, I did want to go ahead and say there are a couple of, audio defects, but I mean, two spiritual people talking, that normally happens when I talk to other spiritual people, but in that conversation, because she's friends with Penczak, he's never had that happen to him. He had an entire class start arguing with him, or tried to argue with him, saying that what he was teaching was culture appropriating. And what's really sad is we've talked about this before, and I know I said I would not talk about closed practices and stuff like that. Another thing that was trending this year, technically it was trending last year, there was a video, or somebody made a video about a white Caucasian girl, or light-skinned girl, who was trying to communicate with, and I'm not going to butcher his name again, the keeper of the crossroads in the voodoo practice, right? Basically, she supposedly, and I talked about this too because I thought it was true, but, I didn't know if it was true or not, but apparently she tried to connect with him and she mysteriously died. They didn't know how she died. Well, it landed on Witch Talk, and basically they were using that as a fear-mongering tactics to basically make sure that nobody was practicing voodoo or hoodoo. In that episode, you will learn what I've been saying about some of these practices that are apparently closed. And she even said it. She agreed with me. That even every practice evolves. And there are some practices, they have come to terms, even the elders, that they basically realized we either start opening this up or it's going to die off and just be lost in time. And it's due to one single app. But the problem is, and the problem that I'm having, is I've worked my best to not cause drama, to stay out of drama. But our community is being poisoned. And I made a video, which it's going to be taken either good or taken really horribly, this morning right before I did this, basically stating that all of these clout-chasing, drama-starting, fake witches in our app, they're basically like an oil company. They're slowly pumping in toxic slush into our community, and they don't care at the end of the day. Has anyone looked at the death report? Yes, she did actually. Well, not Bloody Mary herself, but the parents of that girl, when this happened, this actually happened like a few years ago. It didn't recently happen. The parents came forward and said, no, that's bullshit. Like, it's just complete bullshit. It's fake. But people don't realize that, so they took that as fear tactics. I've had people message me asking if they start trying to research voodoo, whether you want to say New Orleans voodoo, Creole voodoo, whatever type, even to research it, that they're afraid they're going to die. That doesn't even make sense. And the thing that's upsetting me the most is some of these people that are starting the drama on Witch Talk or on TikTok. You've had people dox, where literally their personal information has been released. You've had people bullied to the point of almost being suicidal. You had a group of 5 people that were traditional witches jump on the app, and they got death threats within the first day or 2 days of being on the app. Hey, baby, sending love and light from Canada. Ah, thank you. And these same people that are doxing, starting the drama, putting out fake information, bullying people, these are the same people that supposedly work with deities, supposedly work with spirit guides and, ancestors. I don't think a deity would actually put up with that. Because from as far as I've always known, the witchy community in a whole has been very accepting due to the fact of our own history worldwide. We've been ridiculed, ostracized, I'm not going to say suppressed, ostracized. I mean, I just learned of a law yesterday that I didn't even know existed, which is the fortune-telling law. I didn't even know what that was. So, of course, I'm not an expert. I never claimed to be an expert. I still learn every single day. I learned in that episode, actually, that podcast with Bloody Mary. Part 2 will also be up Monday. The reason that it got splitted was because you'll know at the very end of that first part, something happened, and yeah, we had to restart it. But Christopher Pinzak even told, and you can hear it in the episode, told Bloody Mary he doesn't know how she gets on that app. Think about that. Christopher Pinzak is literally the foundation of how I started my craft, honestly. True enough, I did start out Wicca until I learned about the Inner Temple series. And ever since then, I've just continued with it. I understand that people are going to say something is closed, but we've always heard of this. If a true practice is officially closed, there's not going to be that much evidence about it. But, just like I've said about the Appalachian folk magic that has been extremely popular right now, all of these authors have decided now is the time. Now is the time to put our information out there and to open this up. Because if not, then it's going to die out. And do you know the newest trend? People are saying Appalachian magic is closed, that you have to have family members in order to practice it. I'm sorry, what? No, the fuck you do not. And I know I'm sorry I'm cussing, but this has me so heated because I've been in the community for 18 years and not once had to deal with all of this misinformation. I'm having people older than I am come to me asking me, is this acceptable to have in their practice? I saw a woman yesterday who tried to say white people are whitewashing Florida water. Florida water was created by a white man. It was a cologne, a spiritual cologne. It is open to any practice. The one thing that woman said that I do agree is if you have Florida water in your pictures to make it aesthetically pleasing, that is extremely disrespectful. I 100% agree with that. It doesn't matter what you believe. Parents have to teach their kids respect and the elders. The disrespect these days is disgusting. It really is. You're having teenagers come up to seasoned elder witches in both aspects of saying elder, saying that they're not a witch because they don't look aesthetic, saying they're not a witch because when they're asked what type of witch are you and you just say, well, I'm just a witch, they get argued with and said, oh, well, since you're not an actual witch, you're not a witch. What? I'm sorry. Why do we need sea witches? Why can't we not just be witch? Okay, great. You're a witch who studies and primarily works with crystals. Great. Thank you for telling me that. Now I know that you are a crystal you're a witch who works with crystals. Why do we have to have moon witch? Green witch? True enough, some of these terms have actually been around for a while. But these people that are jumping on the internet, reading 1 or 2 books, claiming that they're a witch. I'm sorry, if you have written a book and you do not have at least 5 or more years in that particular path, unless you have wholeheartedly created it from the ground up, you don't need to be writing books. And I've talked about this before. There's one YouTuber who, she's very nice and everything like that. I will say that. Good morning. She's very nice, right? Her first year into Wicca, she wrote a fucking book. That's like me going and reading a book of rocket science and then creating NASA's rocket. Obviously, it's going to explode in my face. And it bugs me because it used to be, okay, that may be closed or initiated only. Speaking of that, what makes a practice closed? Are you saying that, and I had to correct myself yesterday, are we saying that it's initiated only? Well, some of these initiated only practices, if people actually did their research, they're opened up for anyone. True enough, there are some of these that you do have to pay for it, but that money goes back into their community to help it survive. I know so many people that are white Caucasians that have been fully initiated into initiated only practices because the spirits that they work with, the energies that they work with, accepted them. Good morning, yes, true enough, I do believe, which I was corrected yesterday, and it does make sense, there are some spirits and some entities that will hold on to that, hold on to all the bad stuff that's happened to them. But if we're talking about a full-on deity, what in the right mind makes you think a deity sees in black and white? That doesn't even make sense, because black and white and judging somebody on their skin color is a human concept. Scientific fact, racism is only found in one species on this entire planet, and that's humans. And we're not born. When we are born, if you were to get a baby from every culture in this planet and put them in a room, they would become best friends, because race is something that's taught. And race, I'm sorry, does not belong. Racism or race or politics does not belong in a magical or spiritual path. That's literally like saying the church and the state should be together. No, that's why it's written in our laws that it's supposed to be separate, because religion completely, fucks up your entire... I hope everyone is having a wonderful day and stay cool. Yes, it's extremely... the temperatures here in Florida are about to rise. But and I'm at this point where I literally just want to bang my head against the wall, because there's this newer concept, thanks to Instagram and Facebook and primarily TikTok, that if you come across a practitioner and they have a huge amount of followings, that, oh my God, they must be correct in everything they say. No, they're not. Not to mention, they're reading Google. They're not even reading books. It's like Bloody Mary said. She was in the generation, which a lot of us experienced it, to where we didn't have phones. We couldn't just Google something. We had to go and dig and find and write little notes and carry those notes with us in this book so we could gain every amount of knowledge that we possibly could and suck all of that up and keep it. But now, due to the fact that, Appalachian folk magic, literally in almost every book that I've read, in some way, shape, or form, it's stated that the reason they have come to this point to open up and tell the world about their practice is because it's being died out. The younger generations are not carrying it on. An interesting fact, if you were to look at that in a world sense, I guarantee you, if you were to go to different cultures and ask them, are the same things happening due to technology, due to all this trendy shit, are the same things happening with their culture? And I guarantee you, 100% they're going to say yes. And it drives me crazy. I've had people argue with me that hoodoo, not traditional hoodoo, but I'm going to say Southern hoodoo, or New Orleans voodoo is closed. No, it's not. If you have a practice where multiple cultures and multiple practitioners have come together and willingly shared or traded their advice, that means that it is open to everyone. Books weren't easy to come by either in the 90s, early 2000s. Most of us went by pure instinct. Exactly. Okay, what about the media and the mainstream world? Shows like Lovecraft Country, which is sick. Yes, exactly. And we actually talked about that in the episode. That all this, like, fucking Lovecraft. You have an entire society and people that follow that. Am I hating on them? Not really. But at the same time, you are basing your practice on a fictional book. Something that is completely fake. This is why people believe racism can only be aimed at just one race, or those cannot come to terms in the belief that feel strong as they do in the matter of subject. What I hate are these witches saying things about deities and they're blatantly wrong, but the case is correct. They call them the deity, accept it, and I correct them, and now... Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. The actual seasoned witches, for one, none of us are getting really paid. I'm not getting paid for this, which I'm not doing it for the pay, but you don't understand what I'm saying. When these witches started jumping on TikTok, the actual seasoned witches that are actually knowledgeable about what they're preaching, and they jumped on and started teaching this, we don't have to do this. All of us, any practitioner who makes contact, we don't have to do this. We're doing this because we didn't have it growing up. And then all of a sudden, we're wrong, or we're taking this. There's one guy that I used to follow on TikTok, and I unfollowed him just because he is there's a lot of drama going around. But here recently, he got his profile yanked down. And anybody on TikTok, I'm talking about, Bruju Ryan. I'm saying the first part wrong, but last name Ryan. I think I'm talking about him. Anyways, there's this one practitioner. He put on a kilt. A Scottish kilt. The Scottish witches on that app, some of them were threatening to kill him, basically, because he was wearing a kilt. I'm sorry, last time I checked, there are so many people that wear kilts that may not have Scottish heritage in them. It's not even funny. And I'm just like, so let me get this straight. Like, imagine, now I did learn something very cool. With Bloody Mary, she has journals from, like, way back then. And the same things has kind of been happening. Like, the older generations have always feared what the newer generations are going to do. And the next 5-10 years, I may not even associate myself with witches or with the witchy community. Because if this is how we're heading, I don't want to see what the end cause is. Like, at all. And y'all know me. If I give out false information, I will correct myself as fast as I possibly can. That's the only way we're going to keep things semi-balanced. And now you're having people, due to the pandemic, due to the virus, the pandemic witches, jump on here, and they're saying, I've had people that have been doing this longer than I've been on the earth that have messaged me, and basically they're questioning their entire existence with their practice. Really, you can just talk to them. Most angels, if you call their name, they'll hear you and will listen. Sandalwood herb belt. Okay, I'm sorry. I did not mean to miss that comment. And that's one of the reasons, like, as much as I want to just walk the fuck away from TikTok, I can't. I literally can't. It would be like me just wanting to stop this. I can't. For an example, I had a person say that Apollo is the god of death because they claim he told them. No. I correct them because it's in Greek and they get angry. Exactly. That's not even that. I've had somebody, there's an argument on TikTok about, and of course, this is always in every generation. There is a tarot reader on there, and I'm not hating on her because she stays out of the drama too, and I think I'm still following her. But she did a reading, and apparently another practitioner is the reincarnation of Aleister Crowley. And of course, that started a trend where people were using their tarot cards to predict whether they're past lives or something like that. Me, I disagree with that only because I believe in the soul theory. And the soul theory, it explains why multiple people have had past life experiences with, like, these, like, Elizabeth or the Queen of Elizabeth or Diana or all these other ones. It's because I believe that when the soul cup is created, when you're about to be born, you could actually have part of your soul that was actually Aleister Crowley's or something like that. It explains why multiple people worldwide have had the same reoccurring experiences and knowing stuff that they should not know, especially when it comes to kids. There have been a lot of kids that have been documented at like 4 or 5 years old. They're recalling memories that nobody should know, and it's actually accurate. But if at any point in time in my head, if you automatically state that you are reincarnated of somebody big in the community, that is basically like somebody waking up and saying they're the next prophet of Jesus Christ, and that's when a cult gets started. Because it literally, I'm like, why am I doing this? It doesn't matter as much information as I give out there. There's still going to be a huge percentage that's just like, nope, he's wrong. And the sad thing is, you've even had people of that culture come out and say, no, what they're doing is not closed. They're not disrespecting us in any way, shape, or form. And they will argue with them. Like, I'm sorry, what? I've had to not argue, but I've had to set someone straight about Florida water. Because people started saying Florida water was closed because it's used heavily in voodoo and hoodoo. For one, not making it about race, it was created by a white guy. For two, multiple other cultures worldwide also use Florida water. It really does. It really does. And I just spent 30 minutes. It probably took me 18 times to do a 60-second video because I had to keep redoing it because I didn't want to come off as I'm hating on somebody. I didn't want to come off because I'm a very passionate person. If y'all have kept up with me from the beginning of this, y'all know this. And normally when I get really passionate about something, I get really loud, really like intense, but it's just because I'm passionate. I want to see this live on. And I've talked about this before. If all these practices are closed, they're going to become stagnant. Once stagnant happens, it's basically the end of that. And we've even had in that episode it talks about, and I've had other people from fully initiated in say that yes, in Hades or Haisha, I know I wind up pronouncing them wrong, where hoodoo comes from, they have opened it up to white Caucasian people specifically. That way you fly over there, you pay a large amount of money or some amount of money. Again, that goes back into that culture and that community, and then they walk you through the initiations. Now, some of those, yes, it is true that they do some type of divination to actually see if those energies that they work with will actually accept you. If they don't accept you, the initiation won't really happen. If they do, they will. But to say that an ancient being will not work with you because of this color of your skin drives me crazy. There is 60-second drives me crazy. It's nuts. If I continue just trying to argue. Fuck off, Frank. Right? I'm hoping very soon TikTok started rolling out three-minute long videos. That would change everything. It would also be slightly annoying because you don't really know if it's a 60-second or a 3-minute video until you're halfway through it. And that's one of the reasons that I started this, especially the interviews. Because, and I guarantee you people will argue with voodoo, with Bloody Mary. She's a historian. She has been initiated in. She is respected in her community so much, and she still has people arguing with her. She had somebody comment, remember the video that I was talking about where, I think I told y'all, no I didn't. Bloody Mary was doing some housework, and her husband cut open a little hole to put like a new plug in, and Mardi Gras beads fell out. And like she started digging, and I'm talking like just pulling stuff out. There were photos of her and her kids from like years ago. There were things that she had lost and misplaced. And it's basically, she believes it's fairies. I do too. That's literally what a fairy would do. They would take things and store them, especially if it's like a brownie or something along terms of like that. She had people say that Mardi Gras beads were cultural appropriation. That they did not want to wear the ones that they had, so they hung it up in their car. How the hell are beads, Mardi Gras beads of all things, cultural appropriating? Now, I did learn something yesterday that I did not really know. I did not know that Mardi Gras is actually a religious holiday. Did not know that. And, like, I literally, for the first time, I literally wish I could reach out to all the elders in the community, like the people that have been doing amazing things for the entire community as a whole, to actually bring them together as a council to be like, look, and in this council, the dream council, there would be one of every culture. There would be one elder of every practice, which we already know that's not going to happen because it'd be like politicians. They would just start fighting. Hanging them up in the car is basically the same thing as wearing them, though. Exactly! That's what she said, and that's what I said. I was like, what? Like, this shit's not even making sense. I mean, I wish a council would create, almost like in Star Trek, where they had, like, on the ship, where they had, like, a person of, like, every nation almost. They need to have that as a council to come together and be like, look, all you youngins out there, sit down, close your mouth, and listen. And it drives me crazy. I mean, due to this app, you have entire practitioners doubting themselves because they're not having Aphrodite show up inside their house and start speaking to them like in Charmed when the elders came to them. If you have the sight to see them, yes, you may be able to see them, but 9 times out of 10, they're not going to pop in your house. And yes, everybody goes through that. I went through a stage where I thought demons were going to pop up in my house and I had to collect little glass vials to throw at them and banish them. Did I realize I was completely wrong and that was my teenager kid self? Yes. People claim to be pure committed to God and turn around and judge all his creations and races. It slaps them in the face. Honestly, I cannot believe I'm saying this. The witchy community, some of it has basically turned into a church. Because everything they're doing right now is what they're doing there. I don't even see them, that's the thing, and I hear them once in a while when I say my name. I have only seen what I'm assuming is a deity. If it was Artemis, but it wasn't a female, it was a male. I got lost in the woods, and I don't know if I was seeing them in my head or if I was actually visually seeing them, but he helped me get out. Other than that, I've never witnessed a goddess. I've never seen a goddess. I've felt deities. I've felt energies. In the episode that I did with the traditional witch, Brian, I actually speak on that, of one of the most profound experiences I've ever had. But that was also because, and this is something that was brought up in that one, which is completely opposite of what they do in New Orleans because they know what they're doing. If you go to a community witch meeting where they hold a circle, if they call the corners, give an offering, and then close them out, I'm sorry, to me, no. The point of calling the corners and casting a circle is for one, to have protection, but two, it's a bubble. As above, so below. That bubble is to raise energy. That's why you dance. That's why you drum. That's why you move. Walk around, run around the circle. You're raising that vibration. You're raising that energy. If they don't do that, then are you really doing magic? You're just summoning things, giving them an offering. You're doing it for show. Why not give them a show? Why not once and all? And if I ever get a chance to do this, I will. Even though it'll probably terrify me with my anxiety, I will. I would love to be able to actually get a circle together, spend about 3 or 4 months going over each step and actually performing a public ritual the right way. Show them what it's like to raise energy and push it out there. And they're not doing that. We have so many stereotypes as a witch, it's not even funny. But yet nobody talks about that. I mean, I have. Multiple other people have. I started a video where I'm like, because I made this video, I forgot what it was on. And somebody commented there saying that she had been told she wasn't a witch because she didn't have the aesthetic look. What is the aesthetic look for a witch? Because obviously I did not get the memo. Is it what American Horror Story did? We wear black on Wednesday? Yes, most witches that I know love the color black, but not all of them. Your look and your appearance does not make you a witch. What makes you a witch is something I did a video on, which is knowledge. Knowledge is power. The more knowledge you have, the more power you have. Without that true knowledge, you're not powerful. There's an entire generation of witches that are literally, which I guess, actually, I found out yesterday, it's slightly controversial. We need new terms in this shit. Because I was talking to Voodoo, and I'm like, Voodoo. Wow, I was talking to Voodoo. I was talking to Bloody Mary, and I was like, you have an entire thing that are literally mixing oils and herbs together, which she did slightly correct me, which is, it does make sense. If the oil is intentionally made for psychic awareness, you really wouldn't have to move energy. But I guess that's also the differences of how they practice versus how I practice. I've always been taught that if you're not moving energy around, if you're not connecting with those herbs, and like she said, not all people believe this, and I always forget the term, and amethyst. Basically, the belief that everything, whether it's a pack of cigarettes, Jericho Rose, or this cup, has a spirit to it. I full-heartedly believe that. When working with herbs, like the poison path, for example, and I've shared a couple of, there are 2 poison paths people that I follow that I've shared. the poison apothecary. That's their entire thing. They have to connect to the spirit of that plant before they can even mess with it. National Geographics, they have one of the, not kind of, in my opinion it is. National Geographics on YouTube have a hour-long special where they interview different types of witches and practitioners. One of them being one in London, and I believe their coven is, I want to say it's the Crow and the Raven. There's one specific scene in that everybody needs, which is when she's adding the herbs, she is blessing them, but at the same time, she is connecting with those energies. It's like Bloody Mary kept saying with food. I can give you the recipe for the most astounding cake possible, but if you don't know how to stir it up right and mix it up right, it's not going to be a cake. If you're buying tools and snap pictures and don't use them outside of pictures, you're just wasting energy and time and money. No one actually needs tools. We've created tools to help us, but they are not determined. Exactly. And that was one of the first things I was always taught. Is, for one, you don't have to go out and buy all these fancy tools. You can use a pencil, your finger. Your finger is one of your two fingers, the most powerful thing you can use. But the only reason we have those tools is to teach you to direct your energy better, to make sure it goes in the way that you want. But somehow in these books, there are so many books, and one of the reasons I completely walked away from Wicca is it's the same knowledge. They're just repeating. Now, some of these newer books with Appalachian folk magic, some of the newer hoodoo books, there's another one which was also controversial, but the podcast that I shared, I think it's True Witchcraft. One of the guy that's on there, he wrote American Brew. Basically, he brought Mexican magic, but he wrote a book about how it's been. I think it's called American Bruja. But basically, it's a controversial book because a lot of people are saying that in itself is cultural appropriating. But it's new. It's new knowledge. It's a new way of thinking. Same with New World Witchery. That's one of the reasons he created the book, is because we have all these other practitioners and all these other paths, but there is not a lot of actual real information on America. And see, with me, and I'm pretty sure y'all will agree too, due to when that whole back in 2020 and 2019, when it really started with the whole culture appropriating and all this other stuff, if you're born and raised here in America, it almost feels like we don't have a heritage. Because all we're always being heard of is we're stealing this. Yes, that's true. But if people did their research, and what I'm about to say may piss a lot of people off, and it's going to be controversial, but there's facts. For one, Caucasian people did not start the slave trade at all, right? Okay, granted, great. We didn't, and again, it's not about race. But to think about how our ancestors are viewing this, they're having to publish new information because it's dying out. And New World Witchery, that's literally, there are practices, there are spells, there are a couple little rituals, but it's primarily just stories. Because in traditional witchcraft, that's what we go on, because it's the backbone of America. It's the accusations, it's the stories of those accusations. And the funny thing is I've always told people, if you feel called for something, if it's closed, initiated, if a goddess or deity is calling to you, or if a magic path is calling to you, then obviously it's meant for you. And it's driving me crazy because, and it's not even the misinformation, it's the fact that these people are claiming they're witches, while in reality, they're hurting. There's a lot in Black history that was never taught in school. Exactly. Now, true enough, if you are in a southern state, I recently learned this. I did not know it. I learned it last year. It does have to do to, there's a organization called the Wives of the Confederacy. They are the ones that basically, I don't know if they still do it, but at certain points, especially in my generation, they dictated what was put in history books. So there's a lot of information that's just, it's not lost, it's not taught in school. So entire generations were taught fake information. One of the situations that I had that pissed me off, and I brought it up to my father-in-law when we were recording a couple episodes, which I don't know if I'm going to post or not, because a lot of people would probably take a lot of shit offensively. We were in world history in Elba, Alabama. Shout out to fucking the Elba Tigers. Not really, because I hate that school. we were in world history. We had just opened that book. Oh yeah, Texas is a huge one because there was a book that was released where they were talking about the I don't know if it was true or not, but there was a history book from some school in Texas. They rewrote history, as in it was no longer called the slave trade. It was the slave migration. It was the Great Migration. But in world history class, it was the most exciting chapter I have ever came across in a workbook, because it was also when I was into witchcraft. I just had recently freshly got into it. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to learn about like the world histories, like Buddhism and Hindu and all this other stuff. I was like, oh my God, finally, yes. We opened the book up and the teacher did not even get to teach at all, because literally there were about 10 students, possibly 11 to 15 out of like, say, 20 students, who literally started an argument with our teacher because it goes against their religion. He had parents, almost 20-something parents, call him, cussing him out, saying that is not what they send their child to public school about, is to be taught about false religions, and they are Christian, they are God-fearing people. For one, there's an issue. God-fearing? Why would you fear God? Why would you have to fear the Creator? If he's all-powerful and knowing, why the hell would you have to fear him? The attention seekers are going to kill so many cultures, and they're going to throw it into the world panic. Exactly! And see, that was what I was originally going to talk about today. Not even this. There is something that is about to happen in June that, as we know it, it could literally trigger a world panic, especially for religious people. The U.S. government has officially said that sometime in June, they're going to declassify all the information they have on UFOs, right? Or extraterrestrial aliens. We're going to say UFOs, unidentified objects. Nobody's thought, a couple of people have, but not a lot of people have thought what that's about to do to the world population. Now, true enough, when it comes to Christ, when it comes to churchgoers, there is a section in it that does state, and I'm going to paraphrase it, but basically it states, God says, I have sheep that you do not know of. Basically, there are things out there that was not in the Bible that God knows about and we don't. But think about the hardcore Christians, and again, not even Christians. Catholic is slightly, because the Pope has came out and said that, like, you know, he does believe in aliens and all, he's accepted voodoo and all this other stuff. But the other religions, the people that take what's in the Bible and they take it to the extreme. If aliens are real, that technically discredits most religions. Not all, because Hindu, for example, I believe it's Hindu, they do believe that their creators came from the stars. They're literally flying on ships. So that they're okay. But all these other people, the angelicist, I can't even say it, the people that take it and that help basically create the satanic panic, what is that going to do to them? And then secondly, no offense, I don't want aliens or extraterrestrial beings to come down to this earth right now, because I guarantee you they're literally going to show up. They'll probably be here like a week or two, and then they're going to be like, you know what? Y'all are fucking crazy. Y'all don't make no damn sense. We've sent multiple creators to y'all, and you've either crucified him, burned him at the stake, or much, much worse. We're gone. We're out. Peace. You're on your own. That's exactly what's going to happen. Oh no, there's a reason that's never been public. Exactly. And see what's crazy, here in America, there have been at least 4 presidents that I know, Kennedy being one of them, that said as soon as he was elected, he was going to release all of it. Obama, this past weekend, Obama was on one of the night shows, and he even said that there's evidence that he knows about extraterrestrial aliens that he cannot talk about on public radio. I mean, on public TV. And I don't even have words. Like, we went from, like, everybody, of course, you don't have to be love and light and all that other shit. But I've seen so much fake information. I've seen, what I'm about to say is extremely sad, and this is how fucked up the internet is. There's a practitioner, she is a tarot reader, and she is currently addicted. I don't know what she's addicted to, but she is addicted. And in her lives, on the internet, she is literally so messed up that she'll just completely fall. Like, completely just collapse. And instead of people trying to get help for her, her followers are sending her money to get more fucked up because they like watching it. Do you know how sad that is? And my biggest fear right now, and I never thought I would have this, my biggest fear is I'm going to wake up one day and my entire TikTok, over 1,000 videos, are going to be completely yanked down. True enough, I'll be able to fight it, and luckily I have a huge support team that I'll be able to tell TikTok, look, I've always stayed out of drama, never caused drama. I posted 3 controversial videos, and I took them down within 20 minutes. And it was only because it was about race, and I got over defensive and just kind of went through it, which I did live on here. But yeah, it is. They're encouraging it. You're having people throw hexes around like it's nothing when they don't realize that a true witch, which y'all know this, every spell that you do, and I don't call it karma, I call it the ripple effect. But every spell you do, whether positive or negative, can affect somebody. Like recently, my partner had something happen, and he looked at me and he goes, have you been casting on me? And I'm like, no, I don't cast on people. Now, let me rephrase that. The only time I want permission or I ask full permission from somebody is if what I'm about to do can affect their mental state or their emotional state. Or it could possibly backfire and make their lives a living hell. We have your back as much as we can. Thank y'all. And it's just like, because I've already had it happen to my, this. I got shared into a group on Facebook, and literally I got trolled. It worked in both ways. That was the highest grossing views that I'd ever gotten on a Facebook Live. But they also blocked me where I could not go live for 30 days. It crushed me. It about destroyed me. And then I got back up, and I continue to do it. I just watch what I say now. But the fact that we have to worry about that, and the only reason I haven't backed up everything that I've created is there's 1,000 videos. I no longer have a computer right now until I get it fixed. So I don't even have the space to do that. Not to mention, by the way, anybody who goes out and gets a new phone, do not get Motorola. Motorola, there's one thing that I hate about this damn phone, is instead of having a album for your photos and videos, it automatically connects to Google storage. So that's annoying. But that's one of the reasons, though, that I started the podcast where I'm talking to other practitioners. Because it's showing people, oh, wait, this is not wrong. And like I've always said, if you start researching, or if you, yes, it's annoying as hell. I love this phone, but it's annoying as hell. But if you research something, your deities or the energy that you work with, I only use cheap slings on phones. That's what I was planning on going with, was a cheap one, but this was the only one they had. The day that I went to get this phone, the original phone that I wanted, they didn't have. They didn't have a screensaver. So, like, come Mercury retrograde, I'm going to be like, huh. And now, as I'm defending the witchy community, yes, there is a lot of clickiness, there's a lot of every community is going to have that. But like I've said before, and I've said it on TikTok, I have never once had a seasoned practitioner. I will text you back in a minute. I am on a live. I have never had a seasoned practitioner. No, I've had 2 of them. Just 2. Come up to me and tell me that what I'm doing is wrong. And it's because you can't judge somebody else. Now, there are ground rules, like we talked about in the episode with Bloody Mary. Before I started doing all of this, I made sure I had a structured foundation. And I used to talk about this. When you start your witchcraft, there are basics. The basics of energy work, or the basics of moving stuff around. Energy work, the word energy apparently is being overly used. But the basics, how correspondences are, the proper way of doing this, the proper way of doing that, the respectful way of doing these, right? You need to have a solid foundation. And this is with anything in life. If you're going to grow a business, it needs to have a solid foundation. Like this right here, the Lotus family, the Lotus Hollow family. I've been doing this. I started out on Instagram. That's technically where the name was created, Fire Lotus the Witch. And then I created Fire Lotus Emporium. At one point in time, it did have a different name here on Facebook. That was my first page. Hello. And then my second page, which is this right here. But I've made sure that, like, I've been on YouTube since 2018, right? I just now got to 140 subscribers, which I love. Why? Because I would rather grow slow, very slow, to make sure, you know, the people that are following me actually like it, to make sure that people are following me like, y'all, I know for a fact if I ever did something that was out of character, y'all would come to me and tell me. And that's what I want. If I ever forget where I come from, I want all of y'all to come to me and just basically start slapping the hell out of me and be like, look, come back. You're losing it. Come back. And that's what I try to be. But I've made sure the foundation to this is solid. A lot of people, and it goes back to the author. If you wrote a book and you don't even have 5 years experience in what you're writing about, how the hell am I supposed to take what your book is at face value? Like, there is the book that I wanted on my list. I haven't fully read it yet. And hello, and thank y'all. I love y'all too. We're just huge family, and that's what I want. I want my lives. I want my episodes. I want them to be a distraction, but also, it's like Brian's episode, The Traditional Witch. He said that my episodes in the atmosphere, it's like somebody's just pulling up a beanbag and just sitting around talking. And that's what I want. It's a place that people can take a break from what's going on in their own worlds. I mean, it helps me. The days that I don't do these early, it drives me crazy because it's like I can't do anything else until I get these out. And I'm getting to a point to where, like, I even have to check my own ego. Which is because, yes, true enough, not everybody who practices witchcraft is spiritual. I get that. I am. I believe that there are truths in every religion and every practice, but that doesn't make them all true. And it's just, it bugs me. And that's one of the reasons, like, well, I'm not going to talk about that, but that's one of the reasons I was excited about Lady Gravedancer. It's not that, you know, it was the shock that we were talking about interviewing her, and then she messaged me. And I'm excited about doing that live. And it's not because she told me, she's like, you know, we're going to post all your links in the description of the live. And I was like, great. And she goes, you're going to get more followers. And I was like, great. And I was like, it's not about the and she understood that. They like the content that I'm putting out because I'm not trying to say, hey, you're doing this wrong. No. I mean, if you're doing something obviously wrong, yeah, I'm going to say, hey, maybe you should go do research. And I even stopped saying that because when I did, I realized when I kept telling people to go do research, I wasn't giving them resources to do it. Google is a nightmare. Do not use Google unless you absolutely have to. And if you do use Google, go to like the 4th page because Google is extremely filtered. There are so many apps out there. There are so many websites that are so insane that just have fake information. There are so many blogs. Like, by the way, recently somebody asked me, I don't know if it was in my live or it was in a Discord, if anybody knew any websites for traditional witchcraft. I think I may have found one, and it's by New World Witchery. His website, I believe, has resources and stuff like that for traditional witchcraft, which I don't know if that would technically, by what I understand traditional witchcraft is, that is a traditional witchcraft book. And for anyone who didn't really know the history of traditional witchcraft, it's slightly complicated, but it's amazing at the same time. Basically, how do I even put that? I think I would actually have to read that out of the book. Basically, traditional witchcraft is a non-neo-pagan magical path that is based on American folklore or European traditional craft mixed with our folklore. And that's one of the reasons I like it so much. It's because it's something entirely different. And in that episode with Brian, we realized that it's full circle. Complete full circle. And what I mean by that is, think about it. Traditionally, traditional witchcraft, European witchcraft was one of the main ones. Okay? What if we're going on the disco ball effect, which is no matter what you work with, it's basically the same energy, just depending on who you are is depending on what face you're going to see to make it more comfortable for you. What if, we're going to say the Witch Father, what if the Witch Father introduced Wicca to Crawley and the other ones as a way to make sure the traditional witchcraft would not die out. And of course, they changed it for modern times. But what are we doing now? We're going back. We're doing a complete retake, a complete full circle, and going back to the roots of witchcraft, to all the accusations that were recorded with witches being accused. Whether that's true or not true, they all have similarities. Most of them met somebody, especially here in America, most of them met somebody who was wearing all black and they had a book. There are similarities, but yet people are taking... It's so weird, too, because it's like, I think the only community that I haven't seen that's up in roar is slightly the Wicca community. But, like, there are people arguing now that Hecate, what is it? Is it white sage? Yeah, there's an argument that white sage can only be used by people who work with Hecate. There's confusion on what the difference is with deity worship and deity work, because they are different. You can worship a deity and not technically work for them, and then you can work for them. I've been told by someone who I used to live with as a roommate, who is supposedly a third-degree initiate. He's initiated into his Wicca path enough to where he runs a coven. He also ran it into the ground, but we're not going to talk about that. He told me that I would not be able to work with Hecate because Hecate does not like working with men. That doesn't even make sense. Which it also doesn't make sense because he believes that the deities are still stuck in the Stone Age. He doesn't believe that they've advanced and evolved. Hecate, yes, I hear this all on Facebook. See, that's what I'm saying. I've been on Facebook, God, I don't even know. Since Facebook was around, I've been in loads of communities. I'm in over 300 groups now. Am I really active in those groups? Not really. But yeah, we have witch wars. We've always had witch wars, where two people think they're an expert and they just completely blow up. But some of the newer things that I'm also seeing on Facebook, it's from the misinformation on TikTok. Because see, what a lot of people don't know, I don't know if y'all know this, a lot of the witch talkers, they're all on YouTube. What I mean by that is not necessarily they're YouTubers, but there are multiple people that have been putting all of their videos together as this long movie so people can learn if they don't use TikTok. The problem is some of the people that they're picking, they're giving false information. This whole thing where, like, they pick up a jar and you put the incense in it and you smudge the jar, that's new to me. That is completely new. I have never, unless you are giving it to somebody, unless you were giving it to a deity, if something is in your magic room or on your altar, you should not have to cleanse it because you're cleansing your own energy out. The whole locking your mirrors. I've never heard of that. Unless you have specifically worked with that mirror and opened some type of portal, you don't have to close your you don't have to close your mirrors. Now, if somebody dies, yes, that is a tradition that if somebody dies in your family, you are supposed to cover all mirrors. That way, if their spirit sees theirself, they can be trapped in the image, or you're going to see your finch. Which I'm still slightly learning what a finch or a fetish is. I think it's a finch. But to my understanding, I think it's like you're almost like it's different in multiple cultures, but it's like your doppelganger, but like in spirit form. And apparently if you see it, it's an omen that you're going to die. That's traditional stuff. The witch's payment, that's traditional stuff. And like here recently, and I love this too, people finally realized how I get some of my information, my books and stuff, which is the Fair Trade Act. Or the witch's payment. How I've gotten some of my books, besides the Facebook group that sent me birthday gifts, I came up with an idea of creating an Amazon wish list. So instead of actually exchanging money, they buy something off your list that is an equal value, primarily like books or tarot cards or anything that can advance your knowledge and turn around and share it. And one of my favorite creators now, one of many, she's an Appalachia girl. She's in our Discord. She just started that. And it's amazing. I love it because you're not scamming somebody, but they're also getting new knowledge, turning that around, and sharing it back to everybody. Like yesterday, I'm so happy. I made 2 videos yesterday on my YouTube. I did a book review of 4 books. I've still got to work on my book reviews. And then I made the energy exchange and the energy work on doing it. And like here recently, I'm working with something on the background. with something that is going to be, to date, one of the biggest distance, technically it's cross-country, magic that I will be doing, like, ever. And I'm nervous about it, I'm not gonna lie. I know I can do it, but I'm nervous about it. And in this person that I was talking to, because I've been talking to this person more, and they've been helping me out with, like, this right here, because I lose sight, because I want to help as many people as I possibly can. I've turned down money before. And that person looked at me and was like, well, no, this is your baby. You are making a living from this in some way, shape, or form. So you have to accept that. And it kind of fucked with me for a second, because I was like, wait, you're right. 100% right. But like I said, it's not about the money. I've helped so many people, and there's a review that I posted from the woman, that review that I posted, that's an email, is from the woman who was my first tarot or oracle reading over the phone, because normally I don't do it. Normally I do it over messages, but I'm slowly starting to break out of that. And I love helping people. And then it's also word of mouth. But you're having people on apps start scamming people again with the whole pyramid scams. If you are a reader and you have a website and you have your reading set to like 2 people reading, 1 person reading, in other words, that reading is only going to be about 1 person or 2 people, right? And a person gives you enough information to where you would be able to help them decide what reading would be right for them. You tell them a 2-person reading. In the middle of that reading, after already paying you, you tell them no, they picked the wrong reading, so they need to buy another reading. Red flag number 1 and 2. Red flag number 3 is after that, and after they did not get any information, you turn around and throw 3 spells onto that and pressure them into buying it. That's a pyramid scam. That's 100% a pyramid scam. 100%. If you are reading somebody and you realize that they did not pick the right one, tell them that. It's up to the reader to do that. But if you're reading people just to get money, again, I've said this before, a lot of people who go and get readings, some of them may not be a witch at all. Now, I have realized a lot of them are, because we all have the same problem as, you know, it's very hard to read cards for our own self. You should look at psychic phishing videos, basically a psychic scam. I actually might, because I may do a series on that, because there are so many people that have, and it hurts people like me. Or it hurts people that actually do readings and does stuff like that. Because if you get fucked over by one person in the same community, there's a low chance you're going to go to another one. Most of the people that I know, I've had people recently contact me that I did not even know were following me. And they started and they trusted. I had a scammer wouldn't bring her cards out before she wanted to charge me $75 one time. Nope. I know some people, and I'm not hating on them or anything like that. I know some people that would charge $75 per minute. I'm sorry, there's no way in hell I'm doing that. I don't even charge by the minute. I have one flat rate price, primarily for my full reading. My full reading, if you get that with that flat rate price, there's not really a time limit. I mean, of course, there's going to be a point in time where I'm like, all right, the cards are saying, you know, that's all I can do. But I'm also going to make sure before I even get off the phone or before I end a consultation that that person has been helped in any way, shape, or form. And no, I'm not bragging on myself when I'm about to say this, but I've only had one reading that did not make sense. And it took 3 days for that person to message me and be like, actually, no, your reading was spot on. I just had to see it for myself. When I paid for a reading in the past twice, I got all of them can see is a brick wall. I was so mad. You're the only witch that has actually read for me. Oh, thank you. And like, I still have moments where I doubt myself so many times. But I'm also an intuitive reader. So the less information, the only information I need about a reading is like the subject of life it's on, how many people are involved. That's it. The cards will do itself. The intuitiveness will do itself. And it's just, it irks me. Because I'm like, yep, $70 for a minute, $50 for a minute. Now, if you're doing like $50 for 30 minutes, that's acceptable. Like, for a length of time, that's acceptable. But I'm not to that point yet, because even when somebody comes to me for a custom spell, before money or before something is bought for me, I will tell them, hey, magic is not guaranteed. I'll do my side of the work, But it's up to you to do the rest of that. So if I'm doing a job spell for you, it's up to you after the spell is done to go out, fill out applications, talk to people, try putting yourself out there. And then if you come to me and say, well, I haven't found a job yet, I'm going to ask you, have you been looking or have you been sitting on your ass? Because magic doesn't work that way. I do too, and it's why I surround myself with all the amazing people that I love, divinations. Exactly, and it's just, I've never thought in a million years that my community as in the witch community, would bring me so much distraught. Because I think I've talked about this on YouTube. I don't know if I've fully talked about it on here. But if it wasn't for witchcraft, if it was not for me finding witchcraft, I probably would not be on this earth today. And if I was, I would probably be an addict of something. Throughout my life, all the trauma since I discovered witchcraft, with my depression and everything like that, the darker it got for me, the deeper I dove into witchcraft. It was my outlet. It was my escape. And in the process, it has become my passion. And to see people that just don't care, all they want are followings, all they want is a heart or a share, to put that to just disrespect the hell out of it, it bothers me on such a level that I did not even know was possible. Me too, I do the witch's payment. And I think a lot of people should do the witch's payment. I mean, I love the idea, because way back then, we didn't have apothecaries, we didn't have PayPal, we didn't have all that. Okay, well, I need a dozen eggs, you got chickens, I don't, but I've got the wheat and flour that you need, let's exchange. They aren't our community. These people are using ways to seek attention, and they're not our kind. Witchcraft is so mystical. It really is. And I agree with you on that one too, that they're not part of our community. And I've said it before, like I made a TikTok about it. We need to start exposing these fake people for fake. There's a video that I'm making earlier today on Witch Talk Boy and his little female sidekick that he's got going on. And they're scam artists. They literally, the female one that I'm talking about has a site, right? She has, I believe they're angel quartz, the quartz that are like the vibrant dyed pink and blues and pinks, are pink, blue, green. She has them on her necklace. She has them on her site as necklaces. Hello. I hope work's going good. She has them on her necklace, or she's selling necklaces of them. She changed the name to them and charging like $65 for a crystal that I can walk into a crystal store and buy for probably anywhere from $5 to $15, depending on what the price is. But it's an actual stone. She's charging almost $300 for a consultation. Most people that I know that do consultations before custom spell work, they won't really charge someone for it. Because a consultation is basically asking and getting the information that you need to create the perfect service for somebody. Me too. I can walk into a crystal store and buy for $5 of them. Exactly. And it's just like another thing. And Nicholas, I love him for this. The crystal author that I interviewed, he's actually finally getting down to all the misinformation of crystals on TikTok. Like the Hemonite rings that were gotten popular. There was this person who got a Hemonite ring and basically started saying that if you get a Hemonite ring and it breaks, it's because of all the negativity. No, it's because for one, it's not true Hemonite, and for two, it's synthetic, and he made a video about it, and for two, those bitches are easy to break. I could tap it against my coffee cup and it would shatter. Works alright. Headed to my second store now. Oh, awesome. Someone tried to sell me a crystal for like a pointer for almost $50. And see, I don't understand that. Like, if anybody actually wants crystals and like you have the resources to get them, right? If you don't have a store around you, do what I did before. Etsy. Now the store that I originally got them from, they are closed down now, I'm assuming due to COVID. But Etsy, they have crystal bundles. They have boxes for like $20, $15, depending on how big it is, that will have a mixture of crystals in it. And I'm planning on later on this year, whenever I get to a point that I can, I have a couple of extra surprises for the people that follow me. And I'm going to try my best to do it to where I can help everybody, but it's got to take a lot of planning on my end. But like Moldavite, everybody went out and bought Moldavite to the point where it's getting scarce now. And Moldavite cannot be replicated. It cannot be recreated unless somebody builds a time machine and goes back to when it first originally happened. And I have Moldavite. Am I wearing my Moldavite now? No. Because did Moldavite radically change my life? No. And if it did, I haven't seen it. Has it helped me reach a higher connection? Yes. Have there been moments where I've had to stop wearing it because it's made my depression worse? Yes. That's what it does. It points out shit that is in your life. It's like an infection. Okay, say you have an infection in you. But the doctors can't treat that infection until they know what type of infection it is. So say putting pig fat or an onion, wrapping an onion around something to draw out that poison, to draw out that infection. That's what Moldavite does. It highlights the things that are causing issues with your spiritual growth, your soul, and your life. And it's like having Mercury retrograde in a stone. You either fix it or it's just going to continue getting worse. And the misconception to that is people got the stone thinking it was going to change their lives or it was going to force a spiritual awakening. But due to social media and, you know, everybody's saying, oh my God, spiritual awakening, it's the most amazing thing. Yeah, it is. At the very end, your entire world falls apart. Your friends that you thought were friends betray you and it's thrown in your face. Relationships are ripped apart. It's because anything that happens is because it wasn't serving you. With Mercury retrograde coming up, besides with like technology or your car, but your personal life, if something falls apart, it's because the universe has been trying to send you red flag after red flag of saying, look, you're watering the plant that is slowly poisoning you and slowly suffocating you as it's wrapping. The more you're feeding it, it's wrapping its thorns around you, suffocating you. And a couple weeks ago, and I was like, wow, I was forced to look at myself hard. Exactly. And see, like, I had one experience that I've never experienced myself. I've never experienced it before. But now I understand that because personal life, we had two people that we invited into our lives. Come to find out, well, my judgment was right on one of them. The other one's kind of a 50-50 still. But they held my Moldavite. And they both had suppressed flashbacks of memories that were really, really fucking hard for them. I've never experienced that before, and I have PTSD. Oh yeah, like a couple of the friends that I grew up with now, and they're not my friends anymore. And a lot like people who I used to use turned on me, and they were very nasty people. Exactly, and to believe it or not, especially if you are in a magical lifestyle, that's going to happen. The higher you raise your vibrations, the more you clear out that shit. A lot of people are not going to like that. They're not going to want to see you succeed. So they're going to hate on you. They're going to turn your back on you. They're going to say that you walked out. No, it's not that. You're trying to better yourself, and you're trying to pull yourself up while people are trying to drag you down. And that's one of the reasons, besides my friends on here and on other social medias outside of my actual personal life, I don't really have that many friends. I have probably about 4 or 5 of them. Only like 3 of them live in this state that I consider full-on friends. I have acquaintances, yes. But full-on friends, no, I don't. It's just me and my partner and my cats. It's also now like if I could actually live where all my other friends are at, I'd have a lot because people all over the internet. But that's always been my luck. I'll find friends online, but we live miles and miles and states apart. Some countries apart. But like, I recently learned something with my podcast and TikTok and these right here. I've officially went global. What I mean by that is my podcast has reached so many countries. It's only like 1%, but so many different countries that has it's completely blown me away. I learned the hard way of who to trust and who not to. Same, friends are hard to come by. Exactly, they really are. And it drives me crazy because even when I did have like personal friends, I guess my definition of friendship is different than a lot of other people. My definition of friendship is, A, if I'm doing something stupid, you need to come tell me I'm doing something stupid, right? If you have something to say to me or about me, don't talk to somebody else about it. Come to me and tell me. Like, don't like come to me trying to fight me, but come to me and be like, yo, this, and this, I don't like. We need to talk. All right, let's address it. And that's one of the biggest problems with people is I don't do Backstabbing, I don't do the whole two-faced thing. If you have an issue with me, come to me and tell me you have an issue with me. We'll try to figure it out. If we can't, then we'll agree to disagree. Like, sorry, the sandhill cranes are like in the front yard and they're eating, so randomly I'll see a head, like a red head, pop up and look around and then pop back down. It's very distracting. I'm big on crystals and I also collect random rocks too. It drives me insane of how people are pretending crystals, what you're actually doing. I just need to see more. Okay, you're saying it doesn't work. Can just wear it around your neck and get mad saying it doesn't work. Exactly, and that's what I don't understand. Look, I live in French. I wish I could be in Florida. I honestly wish I could buy a plot of land and move a bunch of people on there. Start our own community. Which that would also slightly fall into the lines of a cult. But it drives me, and it's like you said, they're not even using crystals right. And people think just buying a crystal and carrying on you, that's it. No. You have to talk to your crystal. You have to assign it. You have to be able to connect with it on an energetic level. And I've seen crazy things and heard crazy things happen with crystals. One of my friends that I met actually at Blue Crystal in Gainesville. We randomly talked. I met so many amazing people there, but we were randomly talking and she had moved to like states. And there was like 3 crystals that she could not find during moving day. She searched her entire house. They were moving, so obviously she searched everywhere. Hello. And all of a sudden, when they get to their new house in a different part, they actually found it somewhere that it shouldn't be. And see, I've heard multiple things, but I've heard that a crystal will come to you when you need it the most. I have a personal experience with that. I have a huge piece of what I believe is smoky quartz celestial. My ex gave it to me because he used to live in New York and a museum was throwing shit away, so he had a bunch of it and he gave me some. I could not figure out what it was. I took it to like 4 or 5 experts and nobody would actually tell me. When I finally identified it, I also found out that stone, that crystal, is specifically worked with to do ancestral work and to do like unhexing or uncrossings of generational curses. It just so happened at that exact time was when I had the reading by the psychic that started my journey with working with my ancestors. Everything clicked. I'd had that crystal with me for at least 6 years up until that point and didn't realize that was the reason it was in my life. Shortly after that, I went to a flea market and found a celestial. I didn't know what it was. I was just like, okay, I've never seen a crystal like that. I want it. $12. Also, the woman who was selling them didn't know what it was, but she sold it to me for $12. That's also, celestial crystals are very, very high vibrational crystals, which means they're also great for ancestral work and connecting with the higher point. I followed my crystals and stray cats since early childhood. My parents used to get mad at me. And I also collect rocks. I literally have an entire small little metal shelf that has random types of rocks on it, which I've always done that too. I collect rocks, sticks. Oh God, do I collect sticks. And then I have like this weird, now what I mean, when I'm about to say fetish, I don't mean sexually, but I have this weird fetish with boxes. Like, I will literally collect boxes just to have a box for my other box. It's weird. I don't understand it. I just like having little boxes for everything. But, like, it bugs me. I mean, for the, I love stickers and boxes. I'm slowly getting into stickers, and I don't understand it either, but I'm slowly getting into stickers. I love them. It's just, and then of course I have an obsession with books. I don't know why, but I have an obsession with books. It's just, it bugs me so much. And then, like I said, TikTok only 60 seconds. There's a reason I do not go live on TikTok. I've seen so many people go live for the first time, and then because somebody pissed them or somebody was saying something that they didn't like, they got it reported. True enough, though, TikTok does have this new thing where it's actually records your live. So, like, if it does get reported for something that's not actually true, you can fight it with them. And it's just... But, yeah, the group that the 2 people that I'm about to talk to, multiple other practitioners have also talked about them. If you have a TikTok and you've seen a girl that is very, very pale, has long, like, white hair, and she's like, do this and it will change your life. Write this down on a piece of paper in your palm and sign it with blood and you'll manifest your dreams. No, she used a fucking rune. Like a Norse rune to be exact. No, writing a rune on the palm of your hand is not going to activate your third eye. There's no shortcuts in magic, and if there are, I've not found them yet. Now, I mean, technically there are now with the sigil sites that they have. Thank you for this video. You've got so passionate. It's amazing to witness, and I love the sly smoking. Thank you. I do the sly smoking because I know some people don't like the look of it, or some people may be trying to quit and they don't want to necessarily see it. So, like, I'm trying my best, but I gotta have my nicotine. But no, like, true enough, and the reason I said that sigil site is Sigil Engine, I think is what it's called. It's the one that's red. I learned something about it that I didn't even know. It is literally the perfect mix between technology and magic. The sigils themselves and the design of them are based off of Crawley, right? But using a type of AI, the reason you can't copy and paste shit that you have to type is because depending on how fast you type and depending on what you type is how it generates your sigil. So it actually is the mix between magic and technology in a perfect sync. Like, they have a YouTube page, I'll share it because they actually break it down. But, I mean, there was another practitioner on TikTok who's huge. A lot of the information she gives out, she does know what she's talking about, but she did one wrong thing that I disagree with. She said that if you don't use technology in your craft, you're not a real witch, which does not make sense whatsoever. I collect random feathers and snake sheds. Very useful in my practice. Same. I have the same thing with feathers. I am obsessed with feathers. I have so many feathers that I don't even know what to do with them now. Runes are all their own personal. I do use the ultimate runes on my inner wrist to help open myself up to messages, but I do work with them just expect. Exactly. No, that's what I meant. And thank you for helping me also realize I needed to clarify that. Yes, drawing runes and sigils on you, they can help you. But drawing one rune on you and people thinking that it will automatically just unlock their third eye, that's not real. Do y'all know how many times, and I know, what I mean by that is, it's always what I've said. Magic is more medicine for the mind and the soul and the spirit, while herbal medicine and modern medicine is for the body. In other words, if I break my leg, I'm not going to go to my altar and light a candle that it magically heals in 24 hours. That's when I'm going to go to a doctor and have it wrapped. And if I knew an herbal actual yard doctor, I would totally go to them too. But I actually don't know one around here, or an herbal doctor around here. There are a few in Florida, I will say that. It shocked the hell out of me. We actually, in Gainesville, I used to, the landscaping company I used to work on, I used to actually, like, cut their, maintenance their lawn and everything, but there's an actual midwife school in Gainesville, and they do homeopathic ways, which was amazing when I discovered it. But yes, you can get tattoos and actually carry runes on you, but like they said, I say they because, like, I don't want to mispronounce anybody. You have to activate it. You have to put work into it. But there was probably about 4 or 5 years in my early stages of my practice where I thought that if I found the perfect spell, my depression would cure itself. Now, did I have a lot of times where there was a placebo effect with that? Yes. But I know at the end of the day that magic is not magically going to heal it because it's chemicals. It's a chemical unbalance. Now, could I try herbal medicine to do that? Yes. It's the main one that actually is doing it. It's slightly illegal in the United States. Well, no, technically I learned, and before I say this, Facebook, I am not encouraging this. I'm not telling people to go do this. This is for an learning experience, educational experience. In the state of Florida, you can harvest shrooms, but it is illegal to carry them in a bag. But if a cop were to stop you and you had a large 5-gallon bucket full of shrooms, there's nothing they can do about it due to the fact that if you own horses or any livestock and they eat those mushrooms, they can hurt themselves. My partner used to own horses, and they actually witnessed a couple of their horses accidentally eating mushrooms, and let's just say a horse tripping its balls is very dangerous. But now we also have scientific proof that in the right atmosphere and in the right dosage, microdosing on shrooms can, in fact, reprogram and reset the brain to where people literally have went almost a year without any reoccurring depression. It almost chemically resets it. I want to get the 4 element tattooed on my wrist and my ankles and sigils for spirit work on my neck. I want to get a pentagram. I want to get a pentagram and a crow. Either a crow or a hawk right here. And then I want wings going down my back. And then I want a tree right here on my leg that goes up that's like entwined with different symbols and stuff. Exactly. And see, I've actually recently, earlier this year, I got to use some. I microdosed on them. And literally within the first dose that I took, because due to everything that I have a lot of congenital fog, like my brain fogs a lot, or it like, basically sometimes my brain either runs too fast to where my body can't keep up with it, or it gets really, really slow and like confused and like mushed up together. Within the first day of me trying my first dose, I could tell that my mental clarity was through the roof. I was remembering stuff that normally I would have to make notes to remember. I was remembering it. It completely changed my life, but it's also extremely hard to find, and I haven't reached a point to where I can grow them yet. My friend just told me Lilith and Hecate was the same. Oh my god. No, Lilith and Hecate are not the same, and Lilith is not a closed practice. They started this conversation where saying that unless you were Jewish, you could not work with Lilith. Which is completely... Don't get me started on shrooms. Is that a good thing or a bad thing with the whole shroom talk? But that's another thing TikTok has helped with. TikTok, there are actual people on there that will teach you the proper ways of doing shrooms. Or at least growing them. But it's just... like, I understand if I ever wanted to be a con artist, now I have the playbook on how to. But, like, it needs to get out there that there are people in our community, and it's like Bloody Mary said, and it's like I've said with my with some of my family members, I didn't really have role models growing up. Not in the sense that role models should be in. I had a bunch of people of basically I learned what not to do. So I would look up to them as in, okay, I shouldn't do this, I damn sure shouldn't do that, and I shouldn't do this. And you know what? Knock on wood. I'm still here. I've semi-got my life together. Better than some of my family members do. Good thing. Oh, okay. I was like, I don't want to upset anybody. Oh my god, you guys. I have saw this all over my Facebook, which is arguing about Rika and Lilith. And see, it was like that argument that I started with, the huge YouTuber / TikToker / Twitter / Instagram user who tweeted out that text. That's bipolar. I hate the brain fog. I've never tried shrooms. I do too. And what I meant with shrooms when I tried it, it was not enough to actually, like, I did not get any type of visual effects, nothing like that. It was really low. It was literally, I would take about 2 or 3 of them at a time. So it wasn't enough to, like, make me trip. I didn't trip at all. But I did get a really calmness. I felt very calm. I had no anxiety whatsoever. Y'all don't understand. Like, normally when I go out in public, even if it's a Dollar General up the road, depending on the day, I will have physical anxiety. I didn't have it. I was talking to random fucking strangers like I'm talking to y'all right now, which does not happen to me. Like, it completely changed everything about me. It made me, in my eyes, normal. I could think. I didn't get confused. Because there are some moments where I'll get so confused and the brain fog is so bad, I will give myself a headache because I'm trying to think about something. I didn't have that. I've used them intentionally in practices and recovered for about 12 years. Recreational for about... Oh, that's so awesome. I slowly want to get into growing them. Because you can legally buy spores online. It's just the actual steps of making sure everything is clean. But people have been growing them using brown rice. That's right. The ready rice in the bag where you pop it in the microwave, you can use that as long as you have the right things. But I'm hoping at some point in time in history that it'll become just... Because now that one state, I think there's 1 or 2 states that either legalize them or, yeah, like they're decriminalized. They can actually use them now. Due to that, it opened up this huge point to where medical doctors could actually start studying them. Hold on. Will you please stop knocking shit off the counter? Thank you. Okay, I'm back. My cat's over there on the counter just popping stuff off. I'm terrified of not having control of myself or any hallucination or herbs scare me. Micros using intesting. Yeah. Well, with microdosing, because I even microdose with the Delta 8 that I have, anything that falls under microdosing is basically enough to where you don't have any of the psychoactive effects. Like, you're not tripping. It doesn't make you trip. It doesn't make you hallucinate or anything like that. You're in complete control. It just lifts you, which it could affect you differently. I'm not saying that, you don't get visual effects with words. And yeah, no, I didn't either. I always thought that too, but apparently acid is the one that actually gives you, like, visual effects. And I've tried that, but the dose that I took on acid, I didn't really hallucinate. I got, like, my sight got better, and then I fully understand when you see the shows where, like, you have the people tripping on acid, and they're like, dude... I completely understand that now, because it opens your consciousness up to a point to where things that you wouldn't be able to understand before that sound out there, you understand then. Light trails, yes. Now, when I did try acid, it did last for about 8 to 12 hours. I actually had to go to sleep so it wouldn't. Mainly because I got to a point to where, like, one moment I felt fine and sober, and the next moment it, like, completely, like, turned around. Like, one moment I was high, the next moment I was sober. But, yeah, no, it doesn't make you hallucinate or anything like that. Like, Delta 8, the Delta 8 that we've been trying, I honestly like that shit better than weed, because you don't get paranoid at all. No matter how much you smoke, you do not get paranoid whatsoever. And, contrary to popular belief, I made a statement where I said it was legal in all states. It is not. There are about 5 to 6 states, Colorado being one of them, which doesn't make sense. But there are about 5 to 6 states that are, it's still illegal. But all the other states, that shit's flying off the shelves. The only problem we're having is there's one store in Gainesville that actually sells them at a decent price. But they're not getting edibles. Like, we bought 2 bags of gummy worms, and they didn't do shit to us, which slightly pissed me off. But we bought a bag of Skittles that zooted us to Mars. The weird thing is, though, I haven't really found that many seeds, and I don't understand that. Which I'm still learning what Delta 8 is, because technically the Delta 8 that we smoke, it's technically CBD laced with pure Delta 8 extract. But yeah, no. I'm pretty sure I'm over an hour or 2 hours, because I want to post this to TikTok, to YouTube. But no, and I'm still working on how I can do this. My cousin began abusing kratom, and it makes him sick now. Oh, I'm sorry. I actually haven't had that experience with kratom yet, and my partner uses it religiously. But with everything in moderation. But I have heard of that, though. I have heard of certain people taking it, and it just did not work with them well at all. But I mean, kratom does help me. Just with the herbal supplement that I'm taking now, it helps. It doesn't make me feel like I'm on Adderall, no, but it does bring clarity to my mind. I can focus a little bit better. But I do have an announcement, actually. The author Aaron from Southern Cunning, I officially will be interviewing him June 4th, the first Friday in June. I'll be interviewing him at 11 a.m. actually in the morning. So, which is fine, because Friday is always a weird day for me, because I never know if I'm going to go into town or if I'm going to be here at the house. I think it's because the way they grew it. The males and females produce different stuff, and having one or the other will destroy your crop sometimes. I don't know enough more specifics, sorry, but that's why there's no seeds. That actually makes sense, though. Kratom will make you super nauseous if you don't eat and drink water with it. I think personally he's trying to purge his hate, but who could say? Oh, okay. And see, that's actually weird, too, that you say that about Kratom, because, like, my partner, which it is true, you have to, like, drink water. But it's weird because I was taught in order for kratom to affect you, you can't have you have to take it on an empty stomach. But I've also heard people say different, that like it'll affect you better if you do have food on your stomach. But it's also with kratom. Now I'm not an expert, but I did work with an expert for 3.5 years, and I capped it myself to the point where like I could tell you when we got a shipment of powder in, if it was good powder or bad powder just by the color and the look of it. I got obsessed with my job. With kratom, anybody who tries it for the very first time, you're also going to need to research the difference between red and green and white, and then also research what's the difference between Mangda, Bali, and, oh my god, Bali, Mangda, oh my god, my brain just shut down. There's Bali, there's Mangda, there's like 2 other ones that are merely popular. There are about 4 of them, but depending on if they're white or green, actually hold that thought. I can show you a little bit better. These were a couple of free samples that were sent to my partner from an amazing company, and yes, I'm about to shout them out. I met this guy on TikTok, he's in Florida, Soulful Herbs. Now this right here is kratom. Educational purpose only, Facebook. This right here is kratom, though. It's this green powder. Number one thing, if you see somebody parachute it, as in they're putting it in paper, like paper towel, and just dropping it down their throats, that is extremely bad. No do that. Normally, and I think I have 1 or 2 of them on me, this is the best way to take kratom. It's a cap. That's the best way. And depending on the weight of this cap, this right here is 00, but depending on the weight of this cap, it's depending on how much of this you take. Yes, Thai, there we go, Thai indigo. The place I get it from, open looks like heroin. Till you see it, the green powder, I usually use red Thai. There we go, Thai, there's Thai, Bali, and Mangda. Thank y'all. That was the ones I was looking for. Like, for example, this right here is green Mangda. This right here is red Mangda. So depending on if it's Bali, Thai, or Mangda is depending on the effects that you'll get. Also, depending on the dose. I really had to look it up. If you take a low dose or a high dose. Now, the reason that is because, for one, this right here has been known as the miracle one. Thanks to UF, the University of Florida, their pharmaceutical side, they recently got to actually test this, and they found something amazing. For people who are addicted to opiates or methadol, the medicine they give them to get off opiates, who they get addicted to, it actually, taking kratom actually shuts down the opiate receptors in your brain, which means you could have someone who has been doing opiates for 10 years come off those opiates, and as long as they take kratom in the right way, they will not go through with any draws whatsoever. The bright green is what I've seen the most. Yeah. Mangda is really popular, and green is really popular. And most of them will be green like this, but depending on if it's like red or green, because with the white and the red, the only reason they say that is the actual plant itself, because kratom is derived from coffee, or it's in the coffee family, the coffee plant family. But if you look at the leaves, the red ones will have red veins going through them, aka red vein. The green ones will have green, the white ones will have white veins. But depending on how you take them, and depending on what type it is, it will affect you. Now, what I've learned, and I could be wrong, but what I've learned, so is smoking with it counterproductive? No, I smoke with it all the time. I mean, I don't smoke it, but I smoke with it all the time, and it still helps. It can affect it a little bit, because Okay, before I get into that, with the smoking thing, the way this works and the way that I was taught was Bali, or Thai is for energy. Bali is for like social. It gives you that like kind of that giddy feeling, like you just want to be, you're energized and you want to talk, but it's not like anything you can get over the counter or prescribed through a doctor. Like it's not going to turn you into a crackhead or anything like that. And then Mangda is primarily for the opiate users, because taking Mangda can give you an opiate-like effect. What are you going through? Sorry. But if you take two, and anyone who ever does get this, take a low dose. A low dose would be considered 2 to 4 of these. 2 or 4 of these. Now, depending on the doses, a low dose will most of the time give you a stimulant-like effect. As in, you're going to be motivated, you're going to want to move, you're going to want to clean. And then a higher dose will give you a sedative-like effect. It will make you sleepy, it'll make your body tired. But I've known people that have tried this who have fibromyalgia, who have issues and autoimmune diseases where they could not get out of their bed. They've tried this and it's completely changed their lives. But at the same time, there's an argument with this, which is it's not addicting. Physically, it's not addicting, so they say. But I know for a fact that people who do get this or who take it, is it nasty to smoke? I actually don't know. I've never smoked it. I've smoked with it, as in I've taken this and like smoked CBD, but I didn't even know that people could smoke it. It's also just rubbing the powder on your skin. It can be absorbed through your skin glands. But when I first started working at the company that we were working with, we had gloves, but there was still skin exposed. So multiple workers there that would work in the back room with me that were around it constantly, when they no longer worked there and they were no longer getting it in their system, either breathing it through their nose or getting it on their skin, they had severe, severe headaches that lasted anywhere from a week to 2 weeks. But what they mean by it's not really addicting is it's mentally addicting. You could get to a point, if you get very dependent on it, to where if you don't have it, your brain, it's like it won't work. It won't get motivated. But for anyone who is addicting or fighting addiction, it can help. It's completely changed my partner's life. And he had been using, probably around the age of like 14, all the way up, off and on. He had been using multiple things. And I tried, I showed it to him. I was like, here, take this. I want to see if it'll help. He's been clean for 3 years now. Almost 4. And he realized once I gave that to him, he goes, holy shit, I don't need anything else. I mean, he drinks, but that's it. And he'll smoke, but that's it. He doesn't do anything he used to do before. Now, these will get stuck in your tongue. I mean, they'll get stuck in the back of your throat. They normally take about 30 minutes to work or to kick in, because the capsule has to dissolve and the powder has to get into your system. From what I was taught, the effects last anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, and then they kind of peak and then they'll slowly plateau. One thing I have realized though, and if you have bipolar, this is something to look out for, watch taking it, only because when it wears off, it'll completely like mentally wipe you the fuck out completely. But yeah, that's what kratom is, and if y'all ever wanted to try it, soulful herbs, soulful herbals, because he'll actually talk to you about it and like educate people on it. I know it's illegal in certain states. I know Florida's safe, and Alabama it's actually illegal there. They're trying to fight it though, but the FDA is trying to say that this is a toxic drug. There have been multiple people claiming that it has taken someone's life. It hasn't. Now, somebody may have OD'd, and then when they got to the hospital and they tested it, kratom was in their system. But as far to my knowledge, it's like it said before, if you take too much of it, you will get nauseous and you will puke. And actually, I've gotten to a point when I used to take it to where I did take too much. I had to go make myself puke to get it out of my system so I wouldn't feel sick. Isn't it the same kind of withdrawals you can use for stepping stones when you're getting off bad things? I use it for mental health, but I run out higher anxiety and less energy. Exactly, yeah. You will have because our bodies will get used to it. I don't think you can smoke it, but IDK, I'm not a professional. LOL. No, I don't think you can, because I don't think it'll give you the same effects as smoking it, but you can have it in teas. Now, the one thing is with this is it won't actually dissolve. So, like, right now, there's actually some in my coffee. It'll sink to the bottom. So what I'll do is I'll stir it. But a lot of people, before caps, they started parachuting it, which is extremely dangerous, because the reason it is because since this doesn't actually dissolve when water hits it, if it gets into your lungs, if you're parachuting it, it'll build up and it can cause multiple lung issues. But in general, yes, you can get addicting, kind of, as in your body's not going to be able to function really. And it's just a mental wall, because I had to do it. I went from taking it for 3.5 years or 2.5 years to stopping it cold turkey. And I had to kind of reprogram my thinking, as in I didn't need it. I can still do it without it. And now the only time I normally take it is if I'm doing this, if I have it, or any of my interviews, I will take it. My partner will make sure he left me some, because it does help me with my anxiety. It does wipe me out when it wears off, but it does help with my anxiety, and it does help with my bipolar. Fun facts, mixing it with citrus drinks. Yes, it does. Mixing it with citrus helps it absorb in the body, and citrus also kills the actual taste to it. And fair warning though, if you do take caps and if it gets caught in your throat and it busts open, you will have a moment where you go to burp and powder just slings out of your mouth. And like I'm saying, I'm not saying go out and try this. And if you are on any type of medication, talk to your doctor first, because I don't really know if it can have an adverse effect for like SSRIs or anything like that. But like I said, I'm at a point in my life to where I do not have health insurance, and I'm having to self-medicate with what I can. And what I have works for me. Is that going to mean it's going to work for y'all? I don't know. It just depends. And try around, like, seeing a couple things. But if you do get them, because they're selling it at Circle K now. And I have tried that brand. That brand's okay, but it's not, like, but if you do try it, take 2 to 4 your first dose. That's it. Don't take anything higher than that, because it's going to make you feel like you're motion sickness without actually being motion sick. And it sucks, because that will last anywhere until your body works it out. It's cool though, because you almost can't OD on it, because again, if you take something, your body's going to try to expel it. It does the same thing. But it can be for anybody who has pains, chronic illnesses with pains. It can help. It's helped me, like, because, and I recently learned this too, thanks to TikTok, from an actual expert. People with ADHD, they also have hypertension, or they can have hypertension. Or it's called hyper something, which is basically where your muscles are constantly tight. Mine are like that. I have so much back pain, it's not even funny. If I were to take a high enough dose, which would be about 5 of them, it would give me a sedative effect to where I could go in there and lay down on bed and I wouldn't have any pain whatsoever. But again, with everything you take, your body's going to react differently, and there will be side effects. So, YouTube, since I will be uploading this to YouTube, I'm not encouraging the illegal sale of goods. So, there you go. There's that. It's so bad that we live in a world right now where we have to say that. But it can be... There are some people that actually will actually bake them into baked goods so you can eat it instead of taking a pill, or drink a tea or something like that. And then there are some people who actually put it in body butters and stuff like that, because like I said, it can be absorbed through your skin. The effects of it can. But it's changed my life. It's changed my partner's life. I introduced it to my mom because she has fibromyalgia. Changed her life. When she takes it, she can actually, like, function. And then the Alabama governor tried to be stupid, and they basically... I don't think it's fully illegal, but I know it's illegal to sell. We really should. And, like, there's a misconception, too, with nature medicine. Anything we intake in our bodies, we have to do it in moderation. Like with weed. You cannot, it is physically impossible to die from weed due to the fact that you would have to intake your body weight in THC. The only thing you would do is just pass the fuck out and go to sleep. So, I mean, yes, if you're driving a car, or if you're smoking a cigarette, or if you have candles lit and you fall asleep and your house gets burned down, of course, yeah. But there has not been a single record of somebody ODing on THC. And the reason that is because THC, it's literally naturally made for our bodies. And pets, same way with pets. We have the cannabinoids in our brain and the receptors to receive them. That's one of the reasons, drug test-wise, THC and Delta-8 will stay in your system. It doesn't actually stay in your system for 30 days unless you're a heavy smoker. But if you've never smoked it and you smoke it 1 or 2 times, you're not going to fail a drug test. It also depends on what your body fat is. I'm not calling anybody fat or anything like that, but THC is fat soluble. There's this newer trend, and I've done it before, where you get your grinder because you're out and you go boil it. Do not use water. Boil it in butter, water and butter, or boil your grinder in milk or something high in fat. Because when you boil it in water, yes, you're activating some of the THC, but you're also boiling off the THC. If you do it in fat or like heavy cream, it will actually it'll connect to the fat cells in there, and it will actually prevent it from being burned off. But THC is fat soluble, which means depending on your body weight, the weight of the fat in your body, your whole entire body mass, is depending on how long it stays in there. It also depends on if you drink a lot of water. If you drink a lot of water, you can flush it out of your system. But it shows that since it can be stored in our system for so long, it's natural versus something that was made with a shit ton of chemicals. It's out of your system within 24 hours. It's because it's toxic. Yes, exactly. That's how you make canna butter. But like I've straight up did it. Like today probably I'll actually do my grinder. We have some, but there's so much shit caked on it that I'll boil it low temperature with water and a little bit of butter. Canna butter. You can do the same thing with CBD. You have to activate it though. But that's one of the reasons that pets or animals, mammals, can go up and eat from a CBD or cannabis plant, and they will get affected psychoactively. They don't have to, the way their bodies are, it doesn't have to be heated up. The reason that you have to decarb is what it's called, CBD or any type of cannabis flower. You have to decarb it because bringing it up to a certain temperature changes the THC compounds, and it activates the psychoactiveness. That way you can just eat it. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just with edibles, be smart, small, work yourself up. I keep mine in the freezer. Ooh, I didn't even think about that. I may try that now. How the hell this went from me being really, really passionate about the witchy community to talking about herbal medicine, I have no idea. But I guess that's the life of a witch. But yeah. And of course, normally, I don't have the cards with me right now because I was just focusing on that. But I am probably going to go. Edibles destroyed my stomach. Oh, I'm sorry. But yeah, I am going to go really quick because I've got to eat, and then I've got a couple other things to do around here in the house, make a couple of videos. I don't think I have anything set up until Thursday. Next Thursday, next week, Lady Grave Dancer or Tequila. I'm gonna just keep saying Lady Grave Dancer. She'll be making a post on asking some of her people that follow her like what she wants the topic, the spirit talk, to be on, and then we'll decide. I know my time here in Florida, it's gonna be 8 or 9 o'clock, but she lives in Texas, and I think they're an hour or 2 hours ahead of me. So depending on that, but as soon as I find the times, I will post them. And then shortly after that, I'll be interviewing her. I just got to set a date. But yeah, June 4th, I will be interviewing the creator behind Southern Cunning. Sorry for distracting you. Having an awesome day. You're amazing. Oh, thank you. And no, you're good. I love conversations like this. Come see the live daily pool today afterwards over in the Tarot and Divination Club. Yes, everybody, and I will definitely try. I will definitely stop in. And everybody else, totally go check that out. If you want to learn tarot, that's one of the best clubs that I've recently found that will actually help. But But yeah, and definitely stay tuned for some YouTube videos. I'm going to start making some more and try to get it out there. Funny story, though, I haven't got to tell y'all. So the other day, really quick before I let y'all go. The other day, my neighbors officially think that I'm crazy. It was the last time that I did a live. I did it really early, so I got done with, like, everything that I normally have to do. So I laid down, took me a 30-minute nap, meditation thing, and then I got up, and I'm like, well, fuck, I'm tired of staring at my phone. So I walked outside, and I was like, I've got to start clearing up some of this space on my land. The only thing I had was hand clippers, or shears. So I spent 2 hours on the ground, on my hands and knees, just cutting shit. So I could, like, clear it out. And of course my neighbors were outside watching me. So I'm pretty sure they think I'm crazy, but I did get to clear out some of my land, which means I am closer to being able to actually shoot a video with me actually practicing full-on magic in a circle and so forth. So yeah, that was fun. I found 2 baby cicada, like the shit they shed. One of them was right next to my altar, right next to my offering plate outside where the tree's at. And then I had 2 little friends that I've never seen on this property before. They're like these giant black grasshoppers or locusts. They're called something Georgia thumpers. I think that's what they're called. But they were black. And there's a reason I keep saying that. Traditional witchcraft wise. But yeah, that was amazing. Hello. But yeah, that was amazing. I'm almost, yes, locusts, but they were these giant black locusts. I've been on this property for 4 years, never seen them. Saw them, that day. Cut myself a couple of times through the thorns, which is okay too. But yeah, as soon as I finish, because right now I gotta get a rake, so I can rake all the stuff that I just cut out. And then do my circle, and then actually start doing videos outside while magic. The only thing that's working against me right now with doing stuff outside is I live on a lake. So, like, right now, it's extremely windy. So, if I were to go outside and try filming anything, basically, you would just hear a wind. Oh, no, they creep me out, too. I respectfully made sure that, like, I was close distance away. But it was just cool. It was the first time I'd actually got to work outside. I wasn't worried about my neighbors looking at me thinking I was weird as I'm, like, you know, clipping shit by hand. And it was really cool. It was the first time, and I'm probably going to do some today. I'm slowly getting back to where I'm starting to work outside more. But primarily the major thing that I'm doing next week, yeah, it should be next week. I actually have to do outside. I cannot perform inside. With that being said, though, we do have the blood moon. They used to be so abundant when I was a kid, and they'd eat all the veggies. I find them gross, LOL. I think they're poisonous animals. They are. They're definitely poisonous animals. Our old property, we used to have them everywhere, and at a couple of times where my cats would come walking in, like, just drooling and foaming out of the mouth, and I'm like, oh my god, rabies. No, they just ate one. That's what it'll do. I don't know if it'll actually kill them, but it will poison them, and it'll make their saliva glands really active, so they'll start foaming and, like, just dripping saliva everywhere. I gave them some water, and they were fine. But next week, we have the full moon, or this coming week, we have the full moon blood eclipse, and then right after that, we have Mercury retrograde. So, that's going to be interesting. What's really going to be interesting is the day that I have to do this live interview on YouTube. It's the day of Mercury retrograde. So hopefully we don't have any miss weird shit there. We had some on the interview, or the podcast interview. So yeah, but a lot of things are still in the works. I'm finally getting dates set. I'm getting more organized. I think that's it. I do currently have the candle lit for feeding the honey jar, the community honey jar. And I'm probably going to do another one in June, but I'm also going to do a community candle in June as well. Because I believe I have enough honey to do one more. So yeah. But yeah, that's currently what's going on. I'm probably going to post this I want to post this on YouTube, but I don't want to get him flagged. We'll see that. And I haven't really put out any personal information, so I should be good. But yeah, until then, thank y'all for everybody who's joined in. If you rewatch this, hello. And yeah, if y'all have any questions or anything like that, yes, thank you. and have a great day. But yeah, that's currently what's going on. And like I said, I don't know if I'm going to do a live tomorrow. I might, though, due to the fact that I haven't really been able to do many lives this week. Yes, y'all too. I hope y'all have a great afternoon too. But yeah, I'm actually probably going to go eat and do some research on Saturn's return because it sucks. But yeah, until then, I hope you all have a great day. Yes, blessed be to everybody, and I hope you all have a great day. Again, we have a Discord. If you're interested, let me know. TikToks. I have 2 TikToks now. Instagrams, podcast, latest episode, Bloody Mary, part 2 will be released first thing Monday morning, and then I have a couple YouTube videos out. So, but until then, I hope you're all having a great day, and I hope y'all all have a great Thursday, and hopefully I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.